Has your KTM, Husqvarna, or Gas been feeling a bit harsh? A little bit stiff in the saddle? Not riding like you want it to? Lucky for us, Keefer Testing put out a modified torque spec list to make the bike feel softer, more plush, make it do what we want it to do. And instead of having you guys blindly try it, JetBoyCo tested it and put it to the test. My name is Grayson Ferencik. I'm an amateur dirt bike rider, professional fun haver. I started in C class as a guy who couldn't even do the double doubles, and I've made it all the way up to A class. I'm no professional, but I have had 20 years worth of riding experience. I took what Keefer Inc. put out, I put it on my bike to see how it feels, and I've got all of that for you guys right here. Let's get into it. Okay, bro, I'm following, but what are we talking about here? So, on these newer generation KTM, Husqvarna, gas bikes, the bike feels stiff. It's rigid. The frame doesn't flex how it should when you're going through corners. Maybe you're going over little chop, maybe even big chop. There's just things about it that don't feel soft and plush like you want it. And so what Keefer did was he modified the torque specs, softened them up, and that allows the bike to do these things that we want it to do, make us feel like a pro, right? And so what he did was he went through and he softened up the top engine hangers, the front brake caliper, the subframe top and bottom, the triple clamp pinch bolts top and bottom, the shock top and bottom, the rear axle nut, the swing arm bolt, the bottom engine bolts, and the fork lug bolts. He did all of these things to make the bike feel more plush and soft going through the corners. That's what he claims. We're going to put it to the test and see. Does it actually give the feedback that he's saying it gives back? Is it worth it to do what he's saying? Let's get into it.
So now that we've done our first session, got a feel for the bike, it's gonna be a little bit rougher out, which works perfect because then the track will be rougher and I'll actually be able to feel the bumps. So what we're gonna do now is get all of these torque specs updated like we went over at the beginning and get them all done on the 350 and then see what we feel. So first we're gonna start with the engine hangers. Now we're off the rip. This is fresh off the practice. I did notice a difference. I immediately noticed it. It does feel softer in the middle where the shock is, which makes sense. There's a lot of changes right in there. And it makes it feel a lot softer and plusher. Whether or not it would allow me to go longer, I'm not gonna say that, but the overall feel of the bike and the feedback that I'm getting is significantly softer, which is sick, you know? That's exactly what the point of it was to get a more plush setup. And the first one, maybe my bike was stiff, needed to warm up a little bit, we'll give it that, but it was noticeably stiffer, and especially I felt it in the shock. That's where I was feeling it the most, is in the shock, and I think that's exactly kind of where you would want to feel it. The front end felt the same, I would say, maybe a little bit softer, but a lot in the back end. I noticed that a ton, the way that it handled, and maybe it was because the front end was softer that allowed the back end to do more of what it wanted to, but for me at least, first session down, it's doing good. So we're gonna cool off, get some food, and go back out for another one and kind of validate it. The track is definitely rougher, and there's a lot of people here, so it's only gonna get rougher, and that's gonna be perfect for this test. This next one, just to like, okay, am I gonna keep it at this? Because so far, good, but as it gets rougher and I go out again, will it be better? Let's see. So, let's get it.
All right, so it's gonna be test number 2 on the modified specs. Ride, see what we think, see how we like it. Is it actually what it was?
Check in fresh off of a 41-minute session. I don't think I've ever ridden that long in my life, given it's Meadow Valley, and in the middle a little bit I wasn't trying as hard or, you know, fully sprinting around the track, but still, all in all, it's worth it. The way that the bike handles, the way that the bike feels, especially when you're sitting, is worth it to do this. You're not following the manufacturer specifications, so you gotta keep an eye on that stuff, make sure that it's still to what it should be. But for me, we're checking it as JetBoyCo approved. The Keefer Inc. modified 250, 350, 450 torque specs for the Gas Husqvarna and KTMs are JetBoyCo approved. It worked, it handled well, it was worth it, and I'm gonna continue to run them again and in the future. One thing I would do, and might be a little bit of a skew, is that I have the cutout engine brackets, so that helps a little bit, especially with those bumps and stuff. But a big part of like sitting down and going through those bumps is where I noticed it helping out the most. So yeah, all in all, it was a solid riding, and We'll catch you guys in the next JetBoyCo video. Thanks for tuning in, Dirt Bike Lifestyle, and we'll catch you guys later.